Right, so trying to figure out what next to do here. I got this thing. This has been second coated primed here. Does need another time blocking because this one's the one that had all the filler over the whole thing, and I replaced the lower panel. And if you notice, I didn't crimp it down quite as good as original. There's no filler on the edge, but it's, but it's underneath, so you don't really notice that easily once it's in place. I need to hand block or block this out. Start putting some glazing on there. I need to do the same to this door, inside and out. And then seam seal up all this stuff here. And I've been, like in the bottom of the door, I just put some rust inhibiting paint down there. Make runs down into the corner so that it's down inside this little thing here. I just kind of push it into the corners and do some blocking on this, and we'll take a look at that. I'm just going to basically, I'm going to DA block it, once, and then a little bit of hand sanding, and then glaze a bunch of stuff. Same thing I'm going to do with this. I always do my blocking, my first stuff with the DA, because it's fast. And then I can look for all the low spots, and I start doing stuff, and then I'll go through. Usually I'll do at least one time by hand. Now, if you're going to do really, really nice work, heck, I used to use one of these right here, a hard block like this, on BMWs, Mercedes with 400 grit, after I did DA block. And I just go through and just knock off all the little waves from the DA. There's the little tiny waves it makes. And it would come out virtually perfect. I mean, people are pretty damn picky back in my days with those cars. And I didn't have any problems with customers thinking stuff looked wavy. So, probably how I'll do it. May not do that much to this. I mean, it's going to be light color. So even if I go do a two-tone on it eventually, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Let's start out with pearl white on everything, and then decide from there. Maybe I'll do a second color. They had a couple different factory color combinations that came out with pearl white on the top, but I figure I'll just use the original color and then maybe a second two-tone. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to shoot it all out pearl white now. So I'm going to go ahead and start blocking stuff, I guess. I don't really want to do any welding. I do need to do some more. There is some more welding to do. I fixed these here, so that's done. I do need to still work on the engine compartment, which is important because once I get another coat of primer on here, I'm going to want to go underneath, and we got to do all the underneath prep. Like, there's a lot of surface rust under there. It needs to be wire wheeled down, and then put the rust stop stuff on there. Let's take a look at this. Then, of course, this thing's pretty nice. I got with it, but there's some of this stuff going on. Where this one, and that one are in place. So what I'll probably do is just hit it with the welder a few times and kind of build up some weld on there, and then I can get it hot, and then I'll just take those back out. I don't know. I do have a little bit of rust on the edge here, so that needs to be scraped out of there, and then try and put some stuff underneath. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's always worse than what you think. Could probably put some in these holes too. Just fill some up in there, and then kind of let it fall down into the corners and kind of work its way around. I kind of do that stuff on mine, so I'll do that on this. 67 only for that. 67 only for this thing. So I do need to still do some welding to that. So I've got this thing I can block here. I think I'll jump on that here. Get it finished up since I have my glazing. Got two things of it. So This one, man, this is going to take a little bit of work. I have to decide what I'm going to do. I think, there's a lot here to do. But I'm going to fix it. I could have bought one for 275 bucks, 67 only. But, you know, I thought, you know what, it's better if I fix it because I can show you guys more stuff. So, it does take a lot more time. It would have been probably one in this condition, I would have bought the one. It doesn't look that bad from the outside. It looks pretty nice, you know. It's not that bad looking, but you know what's underneath that's rusting from this side out is really bad. So that's what you always got to look at. A lot of times you look at the outside of something and think, oh, that doesn't look that bad, just a couple pinholes. Well, a couple pinholes means that you got to take the whole skin off pretty much. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to actually probably try and sand this down and find out really what I need, what's too thin, and then just cut out areas and then maybe weld in little pieces or something. I'm not sure. Something like that. I'll kind of play that one by ear when I get to it. So there's a lot of little stuff like just like here. You know, there's this edge right here I had to cut out. This is rusted. I don't know how thin that is. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on with that thing, just little stuff. So that's pretty bad. Of course, the windshield section's been done. You guys saw that video, and that needs to get blocked again. I think I'll guide coat this in the front. Let's do that real quick. I just take my spray can and just dust it. Doesn't take much. You know, Krylon's really good because it's lacquer. Works the best. This is a rust one, but that's the cheap way to do a guide coat. They also have a powder guide coat you can put on. That's some newer stuff. They didn't used to have that. We used to just use spray cans and that was it, you know. So, yeah, I got a lot of blocking to do on this thing. I could literally spend days on that. Got these corners I could do. I got these. I don't know. You know, this primer, this is Tamco's primer. They called Galva Prime, I think, or it's their urethane primer. It's really, really good sanding, especially if you let it set on the surface and just prime it and then don't even touch it for a couple days. You know, just let it dry really good. It really sands easy. And sands really, has a really high build, you know, for the amount of coats you put on. You put on 2 coats of this stuff and it's pretty good high build for a urethane primer. It's almost as good as polyester type primers, but the polyesters don't have the flexibility, and sometimes you'll have issues with that, you know, especially on rubber bumpers and stuff like that. You'll have problems with those kind of primer on that. They work okay on this, but and I used to use those, but I really like the urethane better as far as the vibration and stuff like that, the panels and stuff like that. It might last a little bit longer. I'm not sure. I still like the polyester too, so if you guys use that. If you have really, really rough surface, polyester will fill stuff that the other ones fill, but it doesn't sand quite as easy as this does. Tamco, remember that, you guys. Check out her. Order it and just use it. You can order paint from her too. Their clear is awesome. It's super cheap and it's as good as the best stuff you can buy. Really, it is. It's not second rate at all. It's the best stuff, but it's very, very cheap. So it's really skeptical because it's so cheap, but it's really good. And I found out from a friend of mine. He started using it, and that's the best stuff really there is. So it's really right up there with the top of the line BASF stuff. So anyway, we'll get started doing some blocking. See what happens. Everything's gonna go with DA first, and then luckily I have masks. These things are hard to come by right now. Look, I have a few of these. A95. How about that? Just reuse the same ones over and over. Can't buy any new ones. So. All right, we'll keep moving. Well, anyway, the video didn't come out for this part. So anyway, I went ahead and ran the DA over this whole wall, or this whole section. And, you know, I got some low spots there, here, little one there. They're just kind of all over. So I'll just put a little bit of filler, the glazing on there. It's just really minor stuff. And maybe another coat of primer would get more of it. I only put like 2 light coats on here, so I didn't put very much on. But I'll just put some glazing on here because it sands really fast. Got some pits there, you can see. Thing there. Then I'll fill up this line. Redo that section. There's like a low spot right here too. So I'll get that all filled in. Right, I'll bring you guys back in a minute. To get this all done, a little low spot here, a little in there. There's little weld spots where there's welds along here. Didn't do those. Didn't do that little spot there. Kind of a high spot right here, and a low right next to it. So I think maybe I can leave the high spot there and just fill in that, you know, that sort of thing. It's not really that high, so. Alright, so I'm going to have to put this on here. I'm going to have to put another coat on that because you can see how it gets real wide. I'm just going to put another coat on there and then I'll cut my line into it. And then I'll start sanding this. I'm kind of limited on my sandpaper. I've got this one here already. That's ready for another coat of primer. I would say that's probably going to be one more coat of primer, you know, like 2 heavy coats on here, and then I'll probably sand it down one more time, and I think it'll be ready to paint, probably. And then still need to sand this. So I'm kind of, the problem is I'm almost out of sandpaper. I just have some 220 left, so maybe I'll get that out, start sanding. We're all filled in here, and we've kind of got all this stuff here ready. Got it all ready for you guys. Let's show you guys a little bit how to do these lines. It's not like a perfect science. You screw up sometimes. Let me show you. So what I do is if I leave a little spot, like if I run my little knife in here or something, run your Bondo spreader a little bit. Sometimes I'll scribe it with a Bondo spreader. That's usually what I do. This time, because I used this glazing is really thin, I used that, and it took a couple coats to fill it. So I decided not to use the scribe. So what I did this time is I'll put a piece of tape on it. You can do a lot of different things to do this, and then it's real simple. So the finer the grit you use, the better the line, but I'm going to use 80 because I'm lazy and I want it to go fast. It's a little hard to do. I just fold it over a putty knife. If you use a sharper edge, like if you use a regular metal putty knife, it might come out a little bit better too. You just kind of use that as your line. And this filler sands so quick. Now, another way to do it is, say if you use some harder filler, you can with the harder filler, you can actually use your cutoff wheel, use that straight edge and just run your cutoff wheel next to it. Sometimes you'll screw up. That's okay. It's normal life. How many times you screw up, the worst thing you got to do is fill it back in and resand it. It's not that hard. So let's see, it's starting to look pretty good. The object is to make it look like this line, right? Decided to get a little more technical here. Maybe I'll use something to hold this so I can use my hands. So I'm to switch to 220. I wish I had 150 or 180 would be just right. 220 is just so slow. I'll make it look just like the other one. Of course, I'm having to do this left-handed because where you guys are. And I am normally mostly right-handed. And see, but if I want to mess up, I want it to be on the tape, right? You just sit here and do this for a while. You can fold it without the putty knife to really get a more pointed edge. You know, if that's what you're trying to do, it just all depends on how to make that work. So, flip it over, get a different side of the sandpaper. This is really cheap sandpaper, by the way. Stuff is here. Some really cheap stuff I got off Amazon. Really terrible, but does the job. You get cheap sandpaper, you know, you kind of get what you're paying for, believe me. You know, it doesn't cut as fast, doesn't cut as long. The good sandpaper, you know, like if you use 3M or something like that, it lasts a lot longer. 3M or Merca or one of the better brands. I don't know, I kind of like that Smart paper. It's pretty good. You guys try that? Yeah, if you can just see, I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. I'll just sand this one out. I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so there we go. Like I said, you could do a little bit more with it. I'm just going to kind of leave it right there, I think. But, you know, you get a little bit, if you want to get a little bit finer, you know, you can do that too. All you got to do is just play around with different grits, and you might have to redo the whole thing a couple times, depending on how nice you're trying to get it, how perfect you want to make that line look. It's all up to you, how much time you want to spend on it. But, and if you get like a more pointed edge, like a, you know, like a putty knife, a regular metal putty knife, then you can make it go down that groove a little bit better. You know, there's just a million different things you can do. You can take your 80 grit like this. You just want to keep on using a new, or you got new grit, you know what I'm saying, like that. I just changed it to new grit, and then you sand it a little bit deeper. Keep working it. Worst thing is you can sand it all out, do it, you know, and do it all over again. You get it to where you like it, and you can make it look exactly like the other one if you just spend enough time. It's up to you. So I'm going to say that this thing is just about ready. I just need to do the final caulking there. Maybe I could even just spray can touch that after doing that. A little bit of edgy stuff there, it looks like. I'm not going to worry about it really. I'm just going to sand it, smooth it out a little bit. This is definitely ready to go. Yeah, that thing's pretty nice. I mean, good enough for the engine compartment. In this edge, you don't see it all. So, I mean, it looks really straight. That's got to be the straightest one I think I've ever had. So, you know, you guys saw how the repair went on that. You can always back up and go to the playlist and look for the rear apron video. Let's look at this side here. There's some dry spots in it, so you guys were probably looking, if you kind of look over here, see the dry spots. So, but there's not much left in here for waves. I saw something like right in here, and I saw like a couple little tiny micro dings up in there somewhere. I'm gonna have to do another block on it. Let's see how that line looks. Yeah, that looks all right. Yeah, let's compare it to this side. It's a little deeper, a little more pointed, but you could easily take it to that if you wanted to. You could make it look just like it, but I don't know. That looks fine to me. But I'm not gonna go crazy with it. But I'm just saying, for you guys that are particular, they want to do that stuff, you can do that stuff if you want. But yeah, it looks pretty straight. I mean, you can see. Let's look at the right here at the angle here. You can see much of a wave in there. Trying to get you guys the same angle I am, because the lens is to the left side of the camera, so I have to kind of move you guys out. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much going on in there. I mean, the panel goes a little bit bowed. That's actually because it's a clocker home. And they don't fit very good. I mean, they look fine. You can kind of see it if you're looking for it, you know. But if you look from right here, it looks fine. So, anyway, stupid picky stuff. Really doesn't matter. Looks great, you know. When it's painted, it'll look beautiful going down the road. So, I gotta do this panel here, and then that stuff later. We'll get into that stuff on the next video. I don't know, maybe this panel here, I gotta do some welding, but part of the thing is I just don't want to do too much welding. Even though my helmet works fine, you know, it still, the bright, when you're older, when you're young, you can do it and it doesn't bother you. When you get older, your eyes don't want to do all that bright and dark, even though it, you know, the helmet, you know, turns off that stuff. It's that constant, you know, give me a little bug-eyed feeling all the time. And it's not like a, you know, like a burning sensation where you're getting blinded, but it's more just my eyes get tired. They don't like to weld all day long. So anyway, we got this panel to do still, you know, second coat. You got the back part. I can do that. Maybe, you know, the weather's not looking the greatest. See the weather. Get some rain. Yeah. So it's not helping out. And this COVID-19, of course, you know, that's putting a damper on a lot of things. So I can get parts and I can get stuff right now. Seems like they seem to be open for now. Who knows what the next problem's going to be. Got this door here ready. Needs another coat. Needs another sand. Gonna hold this whole side to sand too. So we'll be doing, I guess maybe I'll just do that for now, and then I still gonna make that spare tire thing, and then take the screws out of the deck lid. And I gotta do that still. So we'll probably make a video for that stuff. Alright, well, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Make those comments, and this thing's gonna look really cool. When it's all done, it's gonna be, wow, stunning, super straight, you know, and everything's lapped, you know. Everybody, oh, you can't make it lap while to make it look that good. Okay, all right, we'll see. Come back for the end. You'll really be surprised. And I'm not gonna really go crazy on it at all. I could. I've done it before. I've gone like stupid crazy, and I just don't do that stuff anymore. All right, talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.